Thanks a lot, Massimo, for your kind introduction. So today we talk about autonomous mobility, autonomous vehicles. There is really a lot to say about autonomous mobility. As Massimo said, this is the momentum for autonomous mobility, and not only in the US and in China, but finally even in Europe. So I have a lot of information, but I will try also to go fast for some aspects. Stop me anytime if you have questions or if you would like to go deeper into something, because autonomous mobility is really impacting the mobility at 360 degrees, from passenger transport to goods transportation, and to impact on the society, on the people, on the regulation, on the business. So it's really, really complex, of course, also on the technology itself. Just a few words, Massimo already said. This is me in San Francisco trying Waymo cars on autonomous vehicles. So now I've tried several times. So, classical question: how many of you have tried an autonomous vehicle? Good. Another question: you tried an autonomous vehicle that goes faster than 30, 40 kilometers?
No.
So that's another step, let's say. But about me, as Massimo said, apart from some years of experience in the transport and automation, public transport, I was also working for the International Association of Public Transport in the past. I've been involved in several research projects in different domains, of course, in mobility and transport, but not only automation, but also mobility as a service and intelligent transport systems, traffic management, and other type of demonstration and pilots project. I have a background in electronic engineering and automation, and currently I'm the managing director of behaviour that Massimo mentioned. It stands for Partners for Automated Vehicle Education. So what we do is to educate the general public, the decision makers, policy makers, and I'm very happy because this is an important target audience for me and for us, you, to exchange and transfer what we know and even discuss what we don't know yet about autonomous mobility. We are a non-profit coalition. It means that we are a group of key and leading organizations in the field. All the key players, tech companies, transport providers, any software development companies, even authorities are part of our association. And together we develop the knowledge that then we want to transfer and convey to the various target audiences. So this, I thought for today to talk about these aspects. So it's a general approach. We are not deep diving on anything of them, but talking about all of them, all the aspects that I think are relevant for when we talk about autonomous mobility. As you can see, this is again San Francisco. I took this just 2 days ago, and it's here you can see the mixed traffic, robotaxi Waymo, and another robotaxi or mini shuttle Zoox, meaning Google and Amazon. So big companies. That it's already a few years that are investing in this technology, and they are coming. And this is real life in like crossroads together with other cars, and they met each other. Let's say. So I want to talk about some basics. I don't know your background, so I don't know if you are familiar with the technology and what it is. Just a little recap on what it is and why it matters. So why we are doing this. Not for the sake of technology itself, but because we expect something, and an impact, and a positive impact on the society. the opportunities and the challenges where we are today, and you will see that what I say today, maybe it's already outdated tomorrow, because it's so fast in these days that there are announcement every day. And very important use cases, I want to talk about it, and some words about regulations. I think this is quite relevant for you to know, and human factors and trust. I didn't mention that, but at the end, the mission that we have as an organization is to educate the general public so that people understand this technology. Because at the end, it's a matter of trust. So you can it's very difficult to gain trust in a technology, but it's very easy to lose trust. Or imagine an accident happened, a person died, and suddenly people start being reluctant to technology. Is it safe? So this is what we do also to clarify these aspects. But let me start with some basics. Here you have some key definitions. I don't want to go through them. Maybe we'll take this with you, the presentations. But it's important to agree on some common definitions to avoid confusions. And I will go to this definition in my slides later. But as you can see, there are some terms that are very common in this field. Yeah.
So, fully autonomous vehicle would be considered driverless, or?
Yes. Yes. Okay. So the distinction, I have one slide on that, to distinguish really fully autonomous vehicles and what is not fully autonomous vehicles that can be automated driving, or what you see here at ADAS, ABS. So I think I want to really clarify that because this is key. Just very quickly, at the end, the core part of this is the vehicle. And the vehicle is basically a robot on wheels. A robot on 4 wheels, let's see, where you have key elements like the sensors, so the perception, that can be LiDAR, camera, and radar based on different technologies. The elaboration of these sensors, so perception of the reality, combined with the positioning through GPS or mapping of the environment, and then two key elements, planning and control. So this is basically what this machine is doing. Then there are different approaches from different companies. For example, the well-known Tesla, they say we don't need LiDAR or radar. We just do it with camera. It's very cheap, and we can sell our product better way because it's cheaper. Others like Waymo and others, they use LiDAR because they say camera is not enough for safety. Because with camera alone we cannot detect everything, and we need redundant systems so that we can merge this information, be sure and be safer. And,
But Tesla already has a lot of sensors and data systems in their car. I think that is already enabled to accommodate for autonomous driving.
Yes, Tesla has some sensors, but they are basically and mainly relying on camera.
So the technology is not equivalent to LiDAR.
No. And there is a debate here. I mean, of course, each one defends its own approach. This is to be demonstrated, of course, with data and facts. This is also very important. I don't know if you have seen this before. This is quite used and commonly accepted, even though it's not easy to explain to the general public. Or we don't difficult if you go to your mother, to your sister, and talk about level of automation. But basically, we have SAI, which is the Organization for Standardization, has identified these levels, so from 0 to 5, so from no automation, it's us driving a car, basically, to full automation, level 5. I think this is very, very important that we understand that there is a huge difference between level 0 and let's say, level 1 and 3, so from 1 to 3, and 4, 5. They are two completely different things. So it's level 1, 2, 3 is additional features to a car that progressively automate the car. So it's like lane keeping or cruise control or any function that allows you to, let's say, not to steer the vehicle, but it always requests at some point that the driver intervene. It can happen. So it means, so the question is, can I really rely on the machine, or can I really consider this? Can I take a nap during the drive? Can I read a book? Can I do something else? No. So from level 0 to 3, no, it's not possible. Level 4, well, forget level 5 for now, because here we will arrive here maybe 30 years. But level 4, yes. This is what we were saying, fully autonomous vehicles.
Driverless.
Yes, driverless. So it's level 4. So it's where you can also remove the steering wheel. So it's the machine that is in charge of all the tasks, driving tasks. So this is called fully autonomous vehicles, but under certain conditions. And we will see that. So it is fully capable to drive autonomously, so without any intervention. You can sleep, you can read, you can remove the steering wheel, but under certain conditions. So it means that if it has been designed to work in the EUREF campus, you cannot take the vehicle and bring it to the center of Berlin and let it drive and work. It doesn't. It needs to be reprogrammed for that. But this is a better view, I think. This is from one of our members called the Mobileye. They developed the software for autonomous vehicles. So they came up with this simplified. It's basically what I said. You can see level 1 is hands-on and eyes-on. You have to be very active as a driver. Level 2, hands temporarily off. So it means at some point you can, but you need to be cautious that you have to be there. Level 3, hands off, eyes off. So you can hands off, you can even look around, but you need to be aware that at some point you are requested to take over. Level 4 is hands off, mind off. So you can drive off, so you can read it. But under certain conditions. Level 5 is basically level 4, but in no conditions. And it doesn't exist at the moment, and we don't know when it will come. Because it means that you can really buy a vehicle that is fully autonomous, and you can use it everywhere. And you can drive, I don't know, from Berlin to Munich, and bring your car to Spain, and it works. This doesn't exist.
Are there no prototypes with level 5 automation?
No. But there are many level 4. Yes. So now we have heard, probably, that Tesla has got the approval in the Netherlands, probably in Belgium, They said also in Denmark, I read yesterday, and in maybe in Italy. Let's see. So they've got the approval, and this is for level 2, or what they call is 2 plus. So it's level 2 plus some functionalities. So it means that it can drive. So from what I've heard, this has got the approval for level 2, but potentially it can be a level 4. So it's not approved to be a level 4, but it could, let's say, aim at being level 4. So this is what some regulators told me 2 days ago. But yeah, this is the interpretation. Another important concept that we have to take into consideration, and it is for all levels, up to 4, I would say, is the concept of operational design domain. So this is what I said, under certain conditions. So this vehicle is fully autonomous, so you don't have to do, it does everything alone, but you have to define where and in which conditions. So this is like a standard, but it's just an example of what is requested. So when you say, okay, this vehicle is fully autonomous, level 4, with ODD, and then you have the description. So ODD means it can work in roundabouts, it can work in crossroads, it can work with traffic lights, it can work only if it is sunny, but it cannot work if it rains or if it is snowing. So you have to define this. And this is called operational design domain. So when a regulator asks you, yeah, what is your ODD? So you put this vehicle on the street, on the roads, but you have to tell me what are the conditions that this vehicle, which this vehicle can operate. Yeah, just to somebody tell me, for example, is it designed and can operate in highways, can operate in this context with crossroads, can operate in the campus only, can operate in very congested city centers or in rural areas. Can it operate with snow?
The snow is very challenging, right? Because everything is white. So there's a big issue to understand what to do.
Yeah. So one of the questions that we often have is, okay, these vehicles in San Francisco are working very well, but they are never driven in Oslo, for example, or in in harsh weather conditions with snow. So they have to adjust and design the vehicle and the system for that. Another important concept, and then I'm done with the technical aspects, is the scenarios. This is a very challenging aspect for the technicians. So the scenarios are, we have defined the ODD. So we have defined that this vehicle can operate in the varying city center. Now, what are the scenarios? So the scenarios are, can the vehicle cope with cyclists on the right, on the left, on the front? Can it cope with pedestrians crossing? Can cope with traffic lights? So all the possible scenarios that a human driver, let's say, think in a millisecond or in a nanosecond and is capable to react to, the machine has well it. And this, we are talking about databases of millions of cases. So how they do it? They use simulation, because you need to test them. And it's impossible for a company to recreate in real life all the possible scenarios and things that can happen when you drive. So they have simulators that generates hundreds, thousands, millions of possible scenarios, and then with this simulator they see how the vehicle would react in that condition. And finally, another important element is the infrastructure. Because these vehicles have to drive in our streets, our roads. Then you have the physical infrastructure. So the roads, the signs, are there work roads. So all the physical aspects where these vehicles, because when you drive yourself, you are, you see and you adapt to the conditions, but they need to know, they need to sense what's the physical infrastructure. To help that, we talk about digital infrastructure. So the possibility to have roadside units, so there's some intelligence along the road. So some, let's say, computers or devices that collect data in the road and send this data to the vehicles. So this would help with safety, for safety, because you would have information about the road, you would have information about traffic lights, congestion, what is coming. So this is also a debate, because there are some companies that say we don't want to rely on digital infrastructure, because this digital infrastructure is owned by the city. And the city has a very long-term planning and investment. So, and this technology are very, they need to be updated and maintained quite frequently. And if the city don't have the money to maintain and update these devices and this technology, it means that the vehicle providers and these technology providers cannot rely on this. So they prefer to say we develop the technology in a way that we don't need to rely on digital infrastructure. And what we ask is just clean the roads, make sure that you have the signs and that the normal road infrastructure that you would need in normal conditions as a human driver. But this is also do you have any questions so far? Is it? Yeah. So good. But this is what I like more, because the technology is important. The technology is evolving. Hopefully, we will have more and more sophisticated vehicles. Hopefully, cheaper vehicles, because of course these sensors now, imagine they cost 50,000 euro, 60,000 euro. You cannot buy a car that only for a sensor you have to pay 50,000 euro.
LiDAR especially.
LiDAR is very expensive. So the technology is evolving, and we can say that it's mature. Technology is mature. If you see what Waymo and other companies are doing, the technology is really working. So what is important, I think, also for the society, for you, is why we are doing this, why it matters. And just a few words, because we know that the population is moving to cities. Already today, half of the population, 4 billion people and more, are living in cities, and we expect the 70% to move to be in cities by 2050. So it means that these cities will be over congested. The space remains the same. I mean, the city cannot change the setting. So what you could do is to optimize the space, the use of the spaces. We have, of course, the issue of the environment. Transport itself is expected to be responsible by 2030 of the 14% of the greenhouse emissions. Yes, we can maybe solve it with electric cars, electric vehicles, but some studies and studies I know from Oslo, for example, where in Norway they are investing a lot on electromobility, but they realize that it's not enough. So electromobility itself, yes, it helps, but it's not enough. So we need to do something. And most of all, road safety. Otherwise, we know millions of people have lost their life. There's 13 million people in the last decade, and almost 19,000 people in Europe in 2020 lost their life for accident. And 90% of the time is because of human errors. This is the reality. So I don't know how many people died for COVID, but we were very impressed and shocked by the number of people. But this is a daily war.
Yeah.
It's something that and nobody cares. I mean, people care, but unless you have lost someone in a road accident, normally do you think about road accidents and people dying in the street? But these are millions of people.
It is being regulated, right? For example, Euro NCAP
Yeah.
works
Yeah.
on this.
Yeah.
Directly.
It has improved a lot, because if you look at the latest reports from the organization that is, let's say, overseeing the road safety, they said that there's been a decrease on road accidents in Europe, especially, but because we have, this 30, the safety belt, the limit of 30 kilometers per hour in urban centers. This has reduced a lot.
Cars are a bit better.
Cars a bit better. So there are many aspects that improved, but still, that's a lot of people. And another aspect that we tend to underestimate is that I think that transport and mobility, I don't know if you agree, but is mainly built by white men for white men. And that it means, but by the way, this is also the risk of AI and developers that develop software only for certain category of people. But it means that today it's accessible to everyone. Not everyone, look at in terms of age, of gender, ethnic aspect, educational level, income level, disability, or even people living outside the city centers. So there are many barriers for many people to access mobility. So this is an issue. So Massimo was mentioning it that today it's another buzzword, and it's called transport poverty. Okay, so the fact that many people do not have access to mobility. So in many cases, if you want to move and be free to move, you need to buy a car. You need to own a car. If you don't own a car, and maybe 2 or 3, you cannot move freely around. Of course, if you live in the city center, in urban area, and public transport is very strong, then it's easy. But public transport is not strong everywhere, and many people are also living outside. You rely on maybe train connecting to the city center, but then you need to reach the train station. That is maybe 1 or 2 kilometers. You go there. You go by bike. You have to walk. So there are many aspects that could and should improve in this sense. Another challenge that I want to to raise, and maybe you don't think about this, it's the driver shortage. In the truck industry, already today, this is research from IRU, which is the global organization representing truck operators and transport companies. So already today, they estimate that like in 2023, in EU, Norway, UK, missing 233,000 truck drivers already today. And this will happen more and more because young generation, they don't want to drive trucks. It's who wants to drive trucks? It's a hell of a job, honestly. So it means that, and the average age of the truck drivers are 50 plus. So it means that these people will retire in the next 15 years and nobody will replace them. So it means that for freight operators, they will not have drivers to move goods and we will not have the goods. And the same is for public transport, by the way. Maybe it's easier job because you drive, the driver drives in cities so they can go home and have a better life, but still they cannot find a bus driver anymore, so they have to pay them a lot. In a period where you want to cut costs, they have to pay the drivers a lot. So these are some of the challenges, and the question is, do we need autonomous vehicles? Can autonomous vehicles do something for these challenges that we have? Will they solve urban problems or make them worse? I think Massimo also mentioned that. Are we bringing in autonomous vehicles to improve mobility or to have, I'm not sure, thousands of them increasing congestions in our cities? Because think about it, there could be passive vehicles running around empty, or people can be just lazy and use autonomous vehicles anytime for anything. So this could increase also the kilometers driven by each vehicle today, and then congesting the cities. So there are many questions. Another question is, if the vehicle is fully autonomous, does it make sense to own it? So imagine, you can just book it like Uber, but every time and whenever you want. It's like having a car in your garage or outside, but it's not yours. You call it and in 5 minutes it's there. Do you need to buy one? Why? Maybe it's just for car lovers, or it will be a luxury to own a car, or just because you like driving a car, but not because you need it. So these are also questions. So these are the opportunities. Just going back to these challenges, I just wanted to highlight one on road safety, because you can ask me, yes, but how do you know that autonomous vehicles will improve safety? In fact, this is not proven, actually. So this is an expectation. We expect that machines will do a better job, because machines don't drink, for example. They are not animals. They don't speed. I mean, they just respect the rules. They are not tired. They don't sleep when they're driving. So this is something that you can expect. These are machines that are programmed to do the job, to do a better job than humans. Then, and in fact, also the European Commission is expecting that with autonomous vehicles, 90%, we could say, reduce traffic accidents by up to 90%. and save thousands of lives. So these are the expectations. Today, we don't have the facts because we have data from human-driven vehicles. So we know from insurance companies, for example, how many accidents were caused by humans. So we have this data, but we don't have data from autonomous vehicles simply because we don't have a lot of autonomous vehicles. We have Waymo in US, they have done billions of kilometers already. And in fact, there is a study conducted by Waymo and Swiss Re, which is an insurance company. They did a study together comparing human-driven accidents or data and data coming from autonomous vehicles. And the result was that it's almost it's 100% safer than a human-driven vehicle. But maybe we need to wait a little bit more to have more data to be sure. From my perspective, this is expected to be safer, but absolute safety is a sort of myth because there will always be something, an accident. And this is also what we try to communicate to the people and to the media and the press, because how do you deal then when there is someone losing their life due to a machine? So how would you feel if someone died because of an error of a machine? Is it the same for you? I mean, would you feel the same if a person died because of a human error, so someone else driving a car, and a person dying because of a robot? Do you feel the same? I mean, is it the same for you?
No.
So you condemn more the robot. I mean, you sort of justify the human error.
And it is also who is to be blamed after, who do you punish if there is an accident?
Yeah.
That is also a very important.
Yeah, this is an important aspect. I will talk about it because the insurance companies are looking at it because this will change for them everything. Because we move from personal liability, because today we insure us, but tomorrow if we are not the drivers, there is something else that needs to be insured. But this is insurance, but it's also about perception of people. So, and I mean, would you allow robots to kill people? So this is something that we need to think about. So in general, I summarized here at least few aspects where autonomous vehicles could really have a positive impact. In sustainability, so reducing both traffic congestion and have a positive environmental impact. Safety, so reducing fatalities. What I mentioned at the beginning, ADAS, so the level 1, 2, 3, it's already existing, and even if it's not level 3, which is high level, but still in our vehicles, in our cars today, we have features that potentially should help us to improve safety. They're there. And in fact, there are data and that shows that ADAS are saving life.
Yeah.
The problem is here acceptance. So this is something that my colleagues in US acceptance of ADAS. Because acceptance of ADAS means you do a big effort, as you said, to improve the safety of the vehicle. So to have a vehicle that has functionalities and features that are helping the driver. But if you don't know how to use them, then you switch off.
Yeah.
That's a big issue. So if you don't feel comfortable that when you are changing the lane, the vehicle is vibrating and wants to bring you back,
It's terrible.
it's terrible. But this is done for safety in principle, because it's saying, it's telling you, well, look, maybe you were sleeping, and but then if you don't like it, you switch off. And maybe when it was necessary because you were sleeping, it doesn't work. So this is matter of acceptance, trust and acceptance. What to say?
And so we rented a car in Italy recently when we went for the long trip, and it had ADAS in it, but there was a emergency vehicle on the highway, and it was like on half of the lane, so I had to switch lanes because of it. And my ADAS didn't let me, and it was constantly making sounds and was like you are like driving in between the lanes, but I had to because it does not understand the nature of the road that I'm driving in.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's on both sides because I had to drive in between the lanes because there was some emergency.
Yes, yes. No, that's it's something that my organization is looking at level 4. So what I thought. So we are looking mainly at fully autonomous vehicles. This is because we believe that only if the vehicles are fully autonomous, we can change something in the transport system. If the vehicle is just, with additional features, it's just a normal car with additional features, but you are not changing society. While the fully autonomous vehicle, as we said, you can book them, you can call them, you can get rid of your car. I will show you later, there are many use cases that you can do with fully autonomous vehicles. But another car, so a vehicle with lane keepings or other features, it's a car like before, that will be in the traffic jam, that will be part of the old transport system. But I believe in US, because US is a special, they are very car oriented, and it will be difficult for them to get rid of their cars.
Yeah.
They look at educating the public on ADAS. So to try to make sure that they don't switch off the functionalities, but they learn how to use it. And then operational efficiency, so traffic congestion, but also optimize the operation and public transport in particular. I will go back to it. And logistics also, very important. So imagine that you can use an autonomous vehicle, so without a driver, which is the major cost for the company, 24 hours, 7 days. So for a logistic company, it changes everything. They can use the asset all the time, apart from when they are charging, but they can use the asset all the time at a reduced cost without a driver. And driver shortage, as I said, because it's not only optimizing the costs and the operation, but it's also really dealing with a huge problem that they have. So it's not even that they want to remove the driver to make more money. It's really they don't have the driver. And then accessibility. So these systems could offer the possibility to everyone, including disabled, blind people, and elderly students, to access mobility without owning a driving license and hopefully cheaper. What Massimo mentioned, public transport. If autonomous vehicles are introduced in the right way, can really help improving public transport. So here the concept is, do we want to have fleets of autonomous vehicles maybe a robotaxi or other type of autonomous vehicles that can be used almost privately, that competes with public transport. Or we want to have these fleets of autonomous vehicles that are complementing public transport. So it means if you have to go from door to door, from A to B. So now today, imagine you have to take public transport and and then you have the train station, which is 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers. How do you go there? So you have to walk, maybe, or maybe you take a bike. Okay, and you walk, you take the public transport, you arrive at another place, and then you have to walk or take a bike, I don't know, or call a friend to pick you up and go to the final destination. And it costs you, I don't know, €5. But if I have a robotaxi that I call and come pick me and bring me to the final destination, I skip public transport for €4. I don't know, this is a possibility. What would you choose? A robotaxi, because it's cheaper, more comfort, you don't have to walk. So, but this can be a problem.
No, the weather.
The weather also, and there are many, this can be a problem. Because then it means if everyone does it, nobody will take public transport, everyone will take robotaxi, traffic jam, roads super congested, and we will end up in a worse scenario than what we want. Or autonomous vehicles are embraced by public transport, and public transport collaborates with fleet operators of robotaxi, for example. Let's say, let's make sure that public transport, at least in cities, remain the backbone. It's the backbone of mobility. So backbone. Yeah. So instead of bringing you to the door to door, bring me to the train station. So this would, let's say, address more societal aspects, more livable cities in line with the scope of the authorities, and and also give the service to the people, but also give the possibility to public transport to get also more income and improve this existing public transport, to have maybe more frequent buses, more frequent metros, or even have on-demand carpooling. But this is not a concept that it's needs to be accepted by people. So because it means that you are willing to share your vehicle with a stranger. So it's something that. But the concept here is that autonomous vehicles can really improve public transport if it is done in the right way. What we need to do that is, of course, collaboration between the public transport operators, the private operators, so it could be Uber or Bolt or Waymo, and the transport authorities. Transport authorities are the entities that define, let's say, the mobility rules in the city. Any questions?
I was just thinking that it would be very difficult to consider a global solution. There are some regions that just don't have this infrastructure needed for the autonomous vehicles, right? So even in the US, or even here in Europe, for example, Italy, actually, it's autonomous vehicles. Yeah, for sure, there are some places that would be like very hard to.
Yeah, I mean, this is, you need to, of course, to prepare for it. This is a big challenge for the cities as well. So many cities, they don't know, they don't even know that this is coming.
Yes, yeah, it's most
Most of the cities, they don't know that this is coming, that this is coming. And if they are not prepared, one of these scenarios could be, you know, what happened with these scooters. And at some point, some cities were bombarded by these scooters or bikes, and they were then everywhere, vandalized, and they were blocking, you know, pedestrian lanes, and because this was not expected, and the cities were not prepared to it, and they didn't regulate well in advance. So if they don't prepare now for autonomous vehicles, this will come.
could be authorized like on limited spaces. It's, for example, I'm from Mexico, so in Mexico, some streets we are not, I don't know, like well designed or wide enough and so on. Or Greece, I was recently in Greece. Yeah, for sure, autonomous vehicles is going to be very complicated. Kind of like very narrow streets and next to a cliff. Yes, it's. I cannot imagine how this could work like mobile. That is my company.
Yeah, I think that at the end it will be a gradual introduction, step by step, starting with the most prepared cities, maybe in some areas where it can work and where it makes sense. Because at the end we talk about automation. And for me, automation is to have a machine doing a boring job. So automatize something that humans don't want to do. So then find a meaningful use case, at least at the beginning. So for example, easy one in the airports. You know, you have a shuttle from the parking to the terminals. This is a very boring job for everyone. Why don't you automatize this? No? There are several use cases like this that are easier.
As a service, directly as a service.
Yes.
Villages, that means DRT. Like villages that has low population and they need to travel to cities.
Yes.
And DRT, we had a class on that. So we need drivers, so there are not enough drivers, so we need autonomous vehicles to connect public transportation with
Exactly.
small, low populated places.
Exactly. No, this is also an issue. Let's say the rural areas where maybe you can have on-demand transport, where you can, you know, it's not a line or fixed route bus, but bus that you can book and on demand they pick you up. In this case, you also have to deal with the business case, and if there is business for the companies operating that, or if someone is willing to subsidize this service because it is for a population that is not served by a public service. So, but this could be a very good use case. Just to mention that it's not only about services and positive impact for the society, but it is also a huge opportunity for everyone to make business, to make money. So it's a market that is worth billions of dollars or euros, both at global level and at European level. And as you can see, some projections from some research by 2030 already, or 2035, 2040. So it's a growing market because there you have the business of the sensors, the business of AI, the business of connectivity, and all around safety that needs to, let's say, and efficiency but also operation, as we just said, public transport, fleet management. So these are businesses. You need to operate fleets and you need competencies to do that, and you make money out of it. So there is a lot around it. So some challenges that still remains. Technology, of course, I said it's mature, but needs to be always improved. A very important question that is related to safety is how safe is safe enough? And this is also linked to what we said before. So what is the perception or the acceptance of safety? So how can we define, is it zero? So is it really zero accident? Is it even possible? And if it is zero and we cannot demonstrate that we can reach zero, what do we do? Do we stop there? So there are still something to clarify with the regulators and with tech providers in this. But there are still challenges in terms of cybersecurity. So these are potentially weapons and our streets that can be hacked by someone, and they can do everything they want with this. There are some regulatory challenge. I'll talk about this later, where we are with the regulation, but still it is, regulation is key to ensure safety and also to reassure people that the systems are safe, because they are regulated, that there is one certifying that the systems are safe, that they have gone through all the checks and all the testings and validation. But sometimes it's a barrier for development, because these tech companies have to go through all this regulation, and sometimes they cannot test. And if they don't test in real life, it's difficult to advance the development. This is maybe the big difference between Europe and US. In US, their approach is to let tech company to try, and so they self-certify themselves, so they can test and try, so they advance fast. While in Europe, they first want to have the reassurance that this is safe, so they have to demonstrate and tick all the box. And this is slowing down, because before they can go on the road and test and improve, it will take ages.
In everything.
It's not only autonomous vehicles or technologies. And there are also challenges in terms of human factors, of course. We mentioned already trust of people, but also over trust. Sometimes, there is, I'll show you later, but there are studies showing that if you have misleading marketing campaigns that tells you, this is a fully autonomous driver, you believe it. And then you think that you can buy a fully autonomous car that is not really. And this is quite dangerous in the end, because it's something that is not true, so it's over-trusting. There is also some reluctance to give up driving. Why not? I mean, many people love driving. So if I ask some friends, they would say, no, why I want to drive. It's so nice to drive. There are also the skills evolution aspects, because it's especially in this fleet management, maybe you don't drive the vehicle anymore, but you have to supervise them. So you need to develop these tools and skills to supervise autonomous systems. And this is linked to the impact on the labor market. So it's going to change for sure, because it's of course it's changing already with this with the AI revolution, but in this case is going to change. Of course, I said that we have driver shortage, but if you speak with the current drivers, they fear to lose their job, so they need to be reassured that this is not true, because they will retire, continuing to drive the vehicles, but new generation will start another type of job, maybe not driving, but supervising, or working in maintenance, working in cleaning, in assisting. So there will be many other type of jobs. There is also the ethics and governance aspect, because at some point these vehicles will have to take some decisions. The trolley problem. So then, if the machine has to choose at the end to kill an old person or a child. So these are designed by humans. So someone needs to tell the machine what to do in this case. This is an ethical consideration that needs to be taken into account, because these machines are programmed by people, and the decision can change according to the person who is programming that. If it is someone from US, it's different from someone from Japan or from Europe or from different cultures, different approaches. It's an old man, okay. It's better to save a child. Why? So there are some ethical considerations. There are also some examples of people protesting against this, really using this vehicle, because these are vehicles when they can go around empty, so it's easy to hit and to use them as a protest. And we have seen this in San Francisco during what's the name of the big event in January, the football game.
Super Bowl.
Yes, exactly. So or some others that they discovered, I don't know if you've seen it, they discovered that if they put these cones, the cones, the road, the work, this cone, if they put here, the vehicle stops. So they discovered that, and they did it. So this happens. Take attention. So now I want to talk about mobility models, because what it matters at the end is how we use this technology. Just some example here, that one of our members have identified. First of all, this can be used for passenger transport and for goods transport. In passenger transport, they can be our cars, so privately owned vehicles, or mobility as a service. With mobility as a service, at the end, I will include also public transport. Let's say it's a public service, so it's owned cars versus a service at the end. So it can be ride-hailing, it can be ride-pooling at the end. Even ride-pooling is public transport, because you are sharing a vehicle with many people. The privately owned vehicles, they have, of course, the driving part, but also the parking part. And this parking is quite interesting if you look at the privately owned vehicles and also the current situation, because some cars have been homologated for automatic valet parking. So that means like Mercedes. Mercedes is a model that is homologated for level 3. So it's the first in Europe.
Volvo.
Mercedes.
That's it.
It's one of the high luxury car for automated valet parking. So it means that you leave the car, you push a button, and it goes parking alone. So this is quite an interesting functionality. And then goods transport that for last mile, or when you would start with up to up, so long distance autonomous trucks, and then the last mile delivery. And there is also another one that is not here but quite relevant, the confined areas, like a port or airports, where you have autonomous vehicles carrying goods, luggages, or these things, is a third use case for goods transportation. Yeah. So this is just a summary, but for passenger transport, of course, improved safety, comfort, productivity. For mobility as a service, it's shared on demand. You can have a 24/7 operation, optimized fleet usage, suited for urban environment, and goods transportation up to up, last mile, and also warehouse versus cities. So from warehouse to the city. Some examples here of vehicles that are existing. So you have from shuttles to big buses as well. There are a few of them, also in Europe. A minibus for ride pooling that you can see in Hamburg, for example, in Moya. The classic from taxi, let's say, vehicles for goods, last mile distribution, like drones distributing goods, the last mile, personalized, and trucks operating in confined areas, like airports and ports, and this type of vehicles. So to summarize, you can also have a look at one of our papers where we have defined how autonomous vehicles can improve public transport and how we can move from owning a vehicle to operating a vehicle. So the initial question was, if you have a fully autonomous vehicle, does it make sense to own it? Or we simply use it because you can book it and have it in a few minutes at your door. So it means that we shift completely the paradigm from owning these vehicles to operating. And of course, you don't pay anymore the car manufacturer to buy the vehicle, but you pay a service provider. Uber, let's say, Bolt, or even your public transport company that could provide this type of services. And you can also have a look, and maybe Massimo will share it with you, another paper that we've published for goods transportation. This is I think quite important, always underestimated. We always talk about passenger transport because it's maybe closer to our life and our experience. It's more, even cool because you can try. But here you have business. You have a lot of business here, and it's not clear yet to me why the logistics sector is not even investing on autonomous. Because this can really change.
That's the way people spend the money is mystery to me too. They put money in another delivery service in urban area, knowing that they lose money and they could invest in it. But this is what they mentioned, fenced area, like port, airports, mines, is where you can apply this better because what is the point? First, You have regular routes, so you know when you charge, it's easy to implement. You need less research, and also what is important, there is no conflict.
Yeah, it's control environment.
It's control. While if you put an autonomous vehicle in the city, you have people, and people are always the problem.
We are just
Exactly. So this is what I wanted to mention, that this is already profitable today.
Yeah.
For several companies.
To do a parallel, the cargo bikes are financially better than the van for urban delivery, but very few people are doing that.
Yeah. But yeah, just an example. I don't know if you are familiar with some names, but have you heard about Easy Mile?
Yes.
So Easy Mile was famous for their shuttles.
And we had them here.
Yes.
Our yes. So they were pioneers for shuttles, passenger transport, passenger shuttles, 9 seats or standing. After some years, they didn't see real business on passenger shuttles, and they moved to this in airports to move luggages with the automated vehicles. And that's why they survived, and companies like Navia is not there anymore. Maybe they will come back later, right? At the moment, they can stay in the market and work in this type of sector. Let's get this. So where we are now? Where are we now? This year is a key year at least for Europe. It's finally the year where we are moving from small pilots that we had in the past 10, 15 years to sort of scaling with real commercial services. If I look at, this is one of the examples, but 2015, so 11 years ago, experts and observers were saying that in 2020, we would have had autonomous vehicles permanently in our roads.
2015.
In 2015, they said that in 2020, we could have autonomous vehicles. This, of course, didn't happen at that time. If you are familiar with this graph, I don't know, it's...
Do you know that? Everyone knows that?
No.
So, you have a new technology, a new system, and it's getting momentum. This is the pinnacle of hype. Then you have the valley of disillusion, and then you have the growth. So this is classical for many things, including
all the technologies that are introduced goes more or less to this, but at the beginning, you believe in it. So this is great. Everyone wants to do it, invest it. So the expectations are very high. So in 2015, the expectation on autonomous vehicles were at the high. So everyone believed that this technology was coming tomorrow and was there. This is 2015.
We were in level 2 or 3
At the time.
at that time. I believe it was level 3. So I would assume that everyone expected like us to continue growing without considering regulations or ethics or safety and so on. So maybe that was...
Yes, they were, I don't know, probably they didn't consider anything of the aspects that today we know. So they just thought about technology that was their environmental technology that was even just having a shuttle going 20 kilometers per hour was okay. We have it now, maybe in 1 year this goes 60 kilometers per hour. We have, in fact, many. Some companies, some cities and operators, they started to buy these shuttles just to have the shuttles.
Yeah.
So they say, okay, I buy it, 200,000 euro or like leasing or whatever, to have the shuttle, and then they discover, okay, now, what do we do?
Looks nice.
Okay, after we have done a nice photo with the mayor and with,
In
nice
Spain?
people in Spain, in many cities. So now what do we do? We need a supervision system. It costs hundreds thousand euro. We don't have this money. So in some cases, these were put in like a museum. So from the showcase to a museum, because they didn't consider anything. They just consider, okay, we do the effort, we buy this vehicle, we show that we are innovative city, we are innovative operators, but without any vision or planning or knowing about the technology. So this is when the hype was very high. And now in 2026, we are here. So it means that we went to the depth of valley, to the disillusionment. So we realized, oh no, this is not happening at some point. Well, this will never happen. And now we are, let's say, in the reality phase. Now we know what it is. We know the effort that it requires. And we know that, it is called the slope of enlightenment. So that we know that it takes sometimes, it takes effort, money, regulation, and everything, but it's a good sign. And it's positive because we have to go for it. Okay, let me speed up a bit. In fact, now we have a sort of global race for autonomous mobility. From US, China, now Europe, everyone wants to do it. That's why Massimo said that we are on the spotlight, because now it's really, every day there is an announcement, partnerships. I was last Monday in Luxembourg because there was a big launch from board Stellantis and Poniai, so a partnership together with support of the Ministry of Luxembourg to launch robotaxi in Luxembourg. So it's continuous announcement and partnership. This is also very important. And with the three approaches from US, China, and Europe, that includes also UK, of course, and Switzerland, because UK and Switzerland are very important markets. They are quite advanced in this. And different approaches. The United States, it's a leader in commercialization, so they have real services. China is leader in scaling. They have many vehicles. They can do it fast because it's regulated by the government. So they decide, okay, you go. While the European Union is a regulation-driven market. So it's safety first. So first you demonstrate that you are safe, and then I give you the permission to go. And some deployment go very fast here. In US, you can have a look on the internet, Zoox, Amazon is expanding, Waymo every day is announcing a new city where they operate. They launched this very nice vehicle. So moving from the robotaxi, which is a car, to this one, which is closer to a public transport concept. So a minibus that could transport more people. This is made by Chinese Geely. In China also, robotaxi, minivan, they are very strong. There are a few names like Poniai, Apollo Go, we write Neolix, a few others. They are very good. They are also quite aggressive now in Europe. They are entering the European market. In Europe, now more than ever, in the last few months, we have more and more promises and announcements. In UK, Uber partnering with Wave, which is a UK company. It's the equivalent of Waymo, but from UK. So to launch like a robotaxi service in London. Also, Waymo is launching a robotaxi service in London soon. So soon you will be able to go to London and try Waymo. Hopefully September or so. As I said, Stellantis with Bolt and Pony AI made the announcement in Luxembourg. Moya, which is Volkswagen Group, announcement in Oslo. What else? Also big buses. There is a Turkish company called Adastec, and together with a bus manufacturer called Karsan, they are deploying in various cities in Europe. The challenge here is that they normally can have one or two buses. It's quite difficult and expensive to have a fleet of big buses, but still. And also in Switzerland, they launched a last mile delivery service with a Swiss tech company called Loxo. So you see, there are also some European startups that are. I'm also proud that Italy recently launched a new company called the New Links, which was a startup of the Polytechnic of Milan, but now they were injected with a lot of money from some organizations, and they are expected to grow. So very important, within all these projects, what is common denominator is the partnerships. So in this business of autonomous vehicles, nobody can do it alone. Waymo is sort of doing it alone, but still in some markets they will need partnerships. But in general, it's a collaboration between different players. And the players are the tech companies, so those providing the brain, the intelligence, so the AI basically, like Waymo, Baidu, Pony AI, Zoox, Mobileye. So these are all new companies. I mean, now they are not new, but a few years old, very ahead. Of course, you need the body. You need the car, the vehicle, provided by the OEMs. Volkswagen, Stellantis, and so on. Or there are companies from China providing the vehicles as well. Or there are, Tesla is building his own vehicle. Waymo at the moment is using Jaguar, this robotaxi that they have, but they probably will have some partnership with Hyundai. And then you need a mobility platform, because this is provided as a service. So you need a platform that interacts with the users. So you need the app to book, like Uber, Bolt, Moya, Lyft. So these are the platforms that handle the user demand. And of course, you need the infrastructure, because at the end, all this computing system or this brain goes into computing. And this is key. NVIDIA, or sensor providers for Amazon Web Services. All this data are collected and stored somewhere. And all this player needs to collaborate. It's, in a more or less same level, at least for now. So a few words about the regulation, because it's very important. The regulation, as we said, ensure a safe introduction of the autonomous vehicles. We need that this technology is approved by someone and that follows some rules and regulations and someone certified this technology. That, of course, as I said, this may slow down the innovation because you have to go through some processes before testing, and if you don't test, you don't know the behavior of your vehicle in real conditions. There is one challenge, and is that everyone agrees that safety is important, but the interpretation of safety is quite different from one stakeholder to another. This is quite interesting. So maybe for a tech company, they have a definition of safety, so for them safety is okay. If we stay within the 2% of that is okay. But the authorities may know it's zero. Or the operator may have another vision about it. So it's a challenge to converge on a common definition of safety that is also accepted by us as people, as common citizens. So what do you have to do to go through this route? So the systems must be designed safely. So they need to have all the safety functions, like belt, seat belt. This is traditional one. Now you need all these functions to be redundant and to ensure safety. Once you have this, you must validate the system. So you have to validate, verify, and test this system. So it's and then you have the system must operate in defined conditions. So as we said at the beginning, this operational design domain, it has to have a remote supervision, process for maintenance. So these are all the requirements that regulators ask. So if you want your system to be approved, you need to go for this. So you have to demonstrate that you have functions that ensure safety, that you have verified and validated your system, that you have tested it, that it can operate in the condition that you tell me, that you have to demonstrate this, that it works, also interacting with passengers, so also these are requirements in commercial operation, and all the aspects of liability and type approval and commercial deployment. So it's
5 minutes.
okay.
Then it's running. Also for you.
Yes, also for me. I told you that there are a lot of things. And there is a different approach in Europe, in China, and the US. As I said, Europe is very structured in regulation. US is self-certification. I tell you that I'm safe. Okay, go. In China, it's the government deciding. Sometimes it is not transparent how they approve it. They may approve, they want to. It can be.
Something to say.
In Europe, just to be clear, to summarize, you need three steps. One is type approval. Okay, I have this vehicle. I want to homologate it. So there is a body in Germany, it's called KDA. You go there and then you have to go through some checklists. You have to provide all the data and they approve. So this can be done, of course, at European level and then at national level, and finally at local level. So now you have to be approved to operate in my city, according to my traffic rules. And so this is an additional layer of approval. In Europe and in the world, this is more or less the situation. So we have the type approval at European level. So it means that at EU level, there is a regulation that allows level 4 vehicles to be approved. But today, there is no vehicle approved in Europe. So all those that are running are because of special permissions. At the national level, there are a few countries like Germany, France, Switzerland, and UK, where they have a national regulation. So it means that, in these countries, it is possible to get the approval and deploy an autonomous vehicle. Very quickly, we mentioned that insurance. Insurance, as I said at the beginning, it will change a lot for them. Because we move from personal liability to something more complex. And in fact, they are talking about, within our working group of insurance, within Europe, they are talking about this concept, all risks wrapped policies. That means one single comprehensive coverage that ensure all the stakeholders involved. So it's not anymore the person, but it's a package that ensure manufacturers, software providers, operators in one package. So it means that all these components are insured, all these providers are insured. Vehicle manufacturers, software tech providers, operators, public authorities, maintenance. So they provide a package. To this, you pay what you have to bonus, what you have to pay, and all these are covered and insured in this cost. But they are still working on it because it's not clear, nobody has a clear idea. But let's say the direction is that one. Very quickly on the policy research, especially in the European context, I don't know if this is relevant for you. But I just want to mention where we are in Europe with autonomous vehicles in terms of policy. You may have heard that, I think Massimo said, we are lagging behind. This is what Massimo said in Europe. I think someone realized that at some point. We have some Bibles here, some books that have become, the main reference. One was written by Mario Draghi, one was written by Enrico Letta. They were saying we are late in Europe. We are late in competitiveness, especially in AI, in digitalization, in some fields, and we are late in creating this single market. So we have to do something. And let's say develop the skills, develop the competencies, and push, to boost the AI development in Europe. And of course, this have an impact on the automotive sector. That's why they developed the EU Automotive Action Plan. So to react to this political decision to boost, this competitiveness, the European Commission developed this automotive action plan to strengthen the automotive sector.
Is it automotive package or is different?
It's an automotive package. Yes, so it's an action plan. Within this automotive action plan, which is also the cars, the body as we call it, there is also the digital aspects, so the AI. So they said it's not anymore about engines, engines and motors and brakes and so on. This we were very strong in Europe. In Germany, we have great cars, great vehicles, but we are lagging behind with AI. And with this, compared to Waymo and all these guys, we are very late. So that's why they decided to put some effort here and put money on research on this direction and to implement some initiatives. One of these initiatives was launched last Monday, and it's called large-scale cross-border test beds. This is because one of the barriers or the blocking points was the regulation, as I said before. In Europe, because you have to respect the regulation, safety first, these companies could not test because they have to go through regulatory processes, first approval. So this was a barrier because this takes ages and it's not harmonized. So if they have to do it in France, in Germany, and everywhere is different. So then the European Commission said, okay, let's create this cross-border test beds in Europe, where we give exceptions to enable the deployment. So it means that this company, together with operators and cities and companies, can deploy autonomous vehicles even if they are not approved. So they can speed up. So 18 member states, because this has to be pushed by the authorities, the member states, 18 member states signed last Monday a declaration of intent to collaborate to ensure that this deployment will happen of autonomous vehicles. So in the next 1 or 2 years, we should expect large deployment of autonomous vehicles in some member states. And to conclude, I would like to touch some human aspects. I said at the beginning, people tend not to trust or to over-trust. There are some studies that shows that people feel not safe in self-driving cars, or in other studies that say that people think that they can buy a fully autonomous car today. So both of them are not true. However, these studies, also from our colleagues from US, shows that if people try the technology and test the technology and experience, so if you jump in a robotaxi in San Francisco or soon in London, after a few minutes you will feel very comfortable and you will not be, will be bored even, because it will be so smooth and so normal that you won't fear anything anymore. So that's why it is very important also what we try to do to engage with the people and to promote hands-on experience of this technology. And also the way we communicate this to the people is very important. There is one of our members called, which is an insurance company, that developed a sort of framework on how to engage with the people. One example, the effect. So who is telling the story is very important. If it is coming, is it better if educating is a trustable person, or maybe it's better if it is an influencer? How to engage with this, the young generation? Maybe having a TikTok channel is better than 1,000 presentations that I make. So this kind of I can just to conclude some. From my point of view, we need to look at the societal added value that these vehicles can bring. As we saw at the beginning, this can bring societal benefits, but there are some challenges in terms of safety, regulation, public acceptance, and technology, and so on. Scaling up is the next phase. We are tired, or we don't need small pilots anymore. Otherwise, we don't cope with China and US and Europe, but in general, people don't care about pilots anymore. They want to see massive deployment. Prioritize useful cases and quick wins. As we said, ports, airports, these are already easy to implement. Logistics, why don't we go to that? Stakeholder collaboration is essential, and it is what we do practically to bring together all the stakeholders. Investments are, of course, key. Without money, you don't do anything. And public engagement to build trust. And I hope that also the example of today is a bit relevant, or if I changed your mind or give you some ideas or even reflections, I think I would be very happy. And at the end, this is not a technological thing. It's not technological revolution only, but it's really a societal transformation. I think this will have a big impact as soon as all the potential will be realized. Yeah, and I think I can finish here. If you have, you want to download these papers, please feel free.
Can you
We'll
send
give
us
you.
the PowerPoint?
Yeah, I will send
Thank you.
it. So you can-
Thank you.
Some questions? Or?
Very simple question regarding infrastructure development or accommodating autonomous tech. Do you think the industry is shifting more towards technology in the vehicle, or there's also scope of improvement for infrastructure?
Can you repeat?
Yeah, so the industry is moving towards improvement in technology only in the vehicle
Mhm.
or in the infrastructure for power as well?
Well, the industry, the tech providers are moving, or they want to have the less dependence as possible from the infrastructure. Because this infrastructure can be costly and can be not reliable. So many of them, they focus on the vehicle, and they say the vehicle is capable to do everything alone. But then there is the approach of the authorities, especially the road infrastructure authorities, that they say, okay, this can be true, but we believe that to have a safer system, you need the support of the infrastructure. You need a digital infrastructure that can exchange data with you to inform the vehicle about the status of the infrastructure. You may also need to connect with other vehicles. So it's a bit of debate at the moment. Probably the answer is it's nice to have, or it's better to have, if possible. So it's better to have an infrastructure that can support the vehicle. Maybe at some point, some of the sensors could be in the infrastructure, and you can have less sensors in the vehicle. But then the question is always who is maintaining and managing the road infrastructure units, and who is paying for them. Because if the city has no capacity, financial capacity to maintain this infrastructure, then it's not reliable, and then you go back to the vehicle.
If I can add on that, in South Europe, we are really problem just to keep the blacktop functional. You imagine investing money in, no, so they will need the burden of organizing that to the vehicle. And this is actually no debate starts 100 years ago with charging. It should adapt the vehicle to the condition of the road or the road to the vehicle. And the solution back in the 100 years ago was the road. Okay. And now we don't have the money in Europe. Then you can do wonderful case study in South Korea or big Singapore, I don't know, but would be small projects, and you see at least one demand.
Yeah.
Data are still expensive too. Data
Yeah.
are very expensive. Hence what you presented at some point, let's look for the low effort, low cost way of collecting data, because that's the hurdle, not anything else.
No.
And the technology is there. We can
Yeah.
see that happening already. Something about technology is not help and manage costs.
There is one aspect that I didn't mention that is quite hot topic today, which is the so-called data sovereignty, which means that for some, they are right. The core part, the most important part, is the ADS, so the AI part, let's say. So who owns that part is the champion for that. I don't say that the rest is a commodity, the vehicle or the operation and so on, but someone say, okay, if you have that, you rule. And because you also have the data, you collect the data, and most probably you collect the data in your servers. So if these companies are coming from US or China, this data will go to US or to China, unless you have different agreements or you regulate also this. So this is a debate also.
So maybe building up on what Massimo mentioned about the physical infrastructure, I'm also from South Europe. And right now, we are discussing improving the cities, going down on the speed limits, and improving the way that pedestrians and cyclists use the roads and everything. So how far are we when we talk about adoption of autonomous vehicles, when we are not being able to maintain the roads for normal vehicles? So how do you see this? Because I don't see it in any future to happen, because I have a fairly new car and it has the lane detection feature and everything. So it just swerves me back to my lane. But in some cars, it just, the line disappears and then it reappears again. So I really don't know where I am. I cannot imagine an autonomous vehicle going through this.
Yes. Well, it's this is a requirement from these companies to have a minimum of roads, let's say, maintenance or roads condition, like well-painted lanes or this basic road.
There should be a
This is very important. I think that I don't know when this will go to the south of Europe, honestly, but if it goes and there are some cities that have a vision and they want to adopt these vehicles, they will have to provide this.
Because the plane just disappears faster. I don't know if it's the sun or something. I don't know if that happens in Italy as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's why the cities needs to be prepared. I think we said at the beginning that most of the city, they don't know anything. And at some point, they will discover that in London they have autonomous vehicles, that in Hamburg they have autonomous vehicles, in Oslo they have it, and that this is having a positive impact. And they will want to have it, but they are not prepared. So they need to be prepared and to know that they need to maintain the roads, that they need to paint them very well, that they need to have good signs.
Yes.
So this,
There are always special cases. So very recently in the US, for example, Tesla have an issue because you have like the highway. You have different levels like highways. So there was like a junction. So you have a Tesla like on the highest level of the highway. Yeah, different lanes at different levels. I don't know how to explain it.
yeah.
So the GPS was indicating like go to the right but the ride was at a different level.
Yes.
So it crashed. It crashed, but the person survived, and now there's a lawsuit and so on. So my point is that even in well-maintained infrastructure and so on, you have special cases.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is referring to these scenarios that I said at the beginning, that you have to foresee all the different scenarios. Was this autonomous? No.
Yes. It was the autopilot.
Autopilot.
Yes, it was autopilot, and you have had like so many cases, but this one is very special because the car was following the GPS. Of course, it's an accident, but I believe it's something new.
Yeah.
You are trusting 100% in the GPS.
There are also different approaches because there are companies that rely on high definition maps. So in that case, if Tesla had high definition maps, the vehicle would have known that, that this was
At the same level.
Yeah.
Yes, it was reading that it was on
Yeah.
the same level, but it was
In
below.
that case, it was it's another type of approach. So it's without relying on the map, but it's the let's say the machine learning process that is elaborating this and taking decision.
Yes.
So maybe the next time the vehicle would do differently.
Yes.
But the first time,
one try to
the
jump.
interpretation was that this has also two different approaches. There are companies
Mhm.
that rely on mapping the environment, so they know exactly where they are driving. Of course, this is a high cost. Others now are exploring this machine learning approach where they don't rely on mapping, but potentially they could drive anywhere because they just elaborate and decide on the spot and they learn. But there are pros and cons. Side, maybe you can say it's safe. You have maps and the environment is mapped, but it has a higher cost. In the other case, you can say, okay, you can put this vehicle everywhere because without any mapping, it's ready to go. Of course, it's lower cost and would be great if it worked, but you cannot predict the reaction because it's based on AI and neural networks and so on, and it takes decisions that are not mapped. So in one case, you know precisely how the machine will react to a certain situation. In the other case, we don't know. But in one case, it can only go in that condition with that maps, and you have to set up everything again if you move to another area. In that case, the vehicle is you bring from Berlin to Milan, and it should work.
But my point was that even in perfect conditions, you will have issues.
Yes.
I'm just not sure when we will reach the perfect conditions.
That's another
Yeah.
subject. Yeah.
That's also part of public acceptance, because are we accepting the fact that there will be a period where we will see strange things?
If you think more carefully, the whole discussion is crazy, and I understand why they have to be saved. Because if you think autonomous vehicles, where you apply autonomous vehicles, as you show us, both airports and mines and logistics center, and they don't develop that. And where is the second place where you should develop that? Where you have trains and trams. You already have fixed scenario, right? And which is a discussion maybe about taxi. Okay. And you can do nothing about that. Because this is a collective action and everyone is going in the direction. So we can spend days saying that we are all crazy, but we are crazy. So, of course, if you are easy money, you start to sell to airports, more fancy gadgets.
Yeah.
We also had one at the other campus for a few times, and it was empty, running empty, because it was pointless.
Yes.
So, yeah, the question is how we try to move away from the discussion, which is a gadget, robotaxi, or very, very interesting, but I don't see that, to a place where we do what we people use the market. I don't want to say something fair, something where there is a market. I'm having a business-oriented discussion. Now we understand the work he's doing in a cave and the work we can have in this discussion, because it's really moving the target to something more sensible. Last question.
Yeah. I had the same question. Why are we not using it in trams and trains? And we have tracks on that, and with this we'll have more trust in it, because when we will see that trams and trains are working perfectly with the sensors and everything, like they are there. Yeah, they are there on the tram roads. So
There are metro without drivers, automated metro are there since 20 years. So after the beginning, when nobody cares if there is a driver or not.
that's the problem.
For the train, the long distance train, I know that they are working on it, but it's not really.
You've done the management course, right? And what you're learning is organization with people itself. Train is a 200 years old, very, very strongly regulated system. No one wants to change that. And it's heavily regulated. To have a train running, trust me, you have to get mental to get that approved. So it's the worst place where we will see autonomous vehicles. Trust me, it will be easier in the public city than on the trains, because it's very regulated. To change the rules will be impossible. Everyone would say don't change the rules, also for particular reasons. And so it's not a technological issue.
No.
It's convincing people, it's regulation, it's mindset. It's very interesting lesson, how much innovation, because I know many of you are engineers. So of course, technology, my older son wants to become an engineer. So we have to do trust me, management, that's the way to frame the issues. It's really management. How people manage things, mindset, expectation, that's the way they're working.
Yeah,
Education.
expectation is everything. Maybe the trams can have some automation soon. Trams are, I know that they are working on that, not so heavily like road transport, but there are some initiatives.
This man told us already 3 times that it's very busy, let him go.
No, I like it.
Thanks a lot. Recording off now?